Hello and welcome to another episode of the Be For Real #Leaders Matter. I'm Dr. E. Michelle Mickens, and I'm the CEO of Live for Change. And how appropriate is that name, Live for Change, given the climate that we are dealing with right now? As a matter of fact, today's episode is really centered around how you lead in a time of crisis. I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. And so my question to you is, how are you doing? How are you doing? For many, it's been at least 2 weeks, some maybe a week, where you've been on lockdown, you've been quarantined, and you're still trying to wrap your arms around what's happening. So today, I'm praying that this episode will be encouraging to you and offer you some information and some tools to help you navigate through this whole process. One thing I know for sure, that this isn't going to last forever. It's not going to last much longer. I believe that wholeheartedly. But it's how we operate in the midst of it, right? That's how we know what we're all about. That's how we know what we're really made of. It's in the midst of adversities, right in the center, in the heart of a crisis. And so today, I want to talk about self-leadership and how we can overcome fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yep, you got it. How we overcome the FUD syndrome. And so earlier I mentioned that this is a Be For Real leadership series, right? Or as part of my Be For Real leadership series. And I just want to remind you that the Be For Real leadership series is under Live for Change. And REAL is an acronym that stands for Reliable, Ethical, Authentic Learner. And again, we're being tested on how real we can be when we are in the heat of it, when we're in the heart of a challenge. So I just have a couple of things that I want to share with you. One thing is that this particular episode is inspired by an article that I wrote that's called Dominion Within. And Dominion Within is actually one of the articles that's among a group of different tools and some resources that I put together in a PDF file, a PDF format for you. It's a leadership tools and resources guide. And that information is part of, is available. It's available to you. I'll make sure that the link is in the description below, and it's also on my IG page. So you'll be able to go into the intro, my description there on IG, and click that link, and it's at the very top. You'll be able to click it, submit your information, and gain access to this free tool of resources that I believe will actually benefit you, again, as you go through this process, this wonderful opportunity for us to grow. If nothing else, you want to find the good that's in the midst of confusion, in the midst of uncertainty, right? So a couple of things that I wanted to just talk to you about. When it comes to self-leadership, what is that? What is that? What is self-leadership? And so, yes, I do have notes because I want to stay on task. But it's really about how you govern yourself. You have a team of people that are looking to you for direction. And you don't have all the answers. And I said this before. I believe this was as recent as last week. You may not have all the answers. And it's okay to even admit that. But you want to govern how you react or respond, which is better, to this crisis. Everyone has the right, if you will, to feel what they feel. I encourage you, don't try to suppress or deny feeling anxious, feeling, worried, feeling whatever you're feeling. You may even feel anger. But what you don't want to do is get stuck there. You don't want to wallow in whatever you're feeling. You want to be able to govern and gain control over those emotions, because your team is going to mimic you. In some form or fashion, they're going to act out. And so you really want to set the tone, especially when you're in a place of adversity, when you're in a place of crisis. So think about how you're going to govern yourself. If you're feeling emotional, it's okay. But the goal is to have control over your emotions. So there are 3 areas that I want to just kind of touch on that I believe will provide you with some insight on how you can better show up as a leader in this time, in this season, in this crisis situation. One is your self-perception. Self-perception. How do you see yourself? Especially now. How do you see yourself? Self-assessment is really critical. This is something that should be done on a regular basis, regardless as to what the circumstances dictate. You want to always be in touch with not only how you're feeling, but you want to know or be clear about how you see yourself. Sometimes we don't see ourselves as leaders, especially if you feel like you're not where you ought to be, where you desire to be. It's easy to see yourself in a negative light. But I want to encourage you to shift your perception if you are looking at yourself in low volume, if you're looking at yourself with low visibility. I want to encourage you to build yourself, especially now. Build yourself up. Start shifting how you see yourself. When you have high self-perception, your goals are high, you accomplish much, right? Self-efficacy is evident. But the opposite is true. When you have low visibility, low perception, you'll see yourself as a grasshopper in the face of a giant. And the truth of the matter is you've already been given, you already have within you the opportunity and ability to overcome the obstacle. Nothing happens to you that you can't already overcome. Nothing. You may not feel like it, but that's why we have to press past our feelings and get down to the core of who we really are. So your self-perception matters. Check yourself. Do you see yourself in the proper light, or do you need to shift? So that's number 1. Self-control, number 2. This is a big one for me. Often, doesn't matter if we're in a crisis or not, many have a tendency to procrastinate, right? That robs us of so much. I heard one lady that I follow, and I wish I could recall her name right now, but she said something that struck a nerve to me when it came down to procrastination. And she said something like this. I don't know verbatim, but she said that when you procrastinate, you cannot operate in integrity. Now, those are really my words, but she equated procrastination with being or not being integral. And when we talk about being real, reliable, ethical, authentic learner, the overarching reality of that phrase, being for real, has to do with being an authentic and a leader and a person of integrity. So if you find yourself with low vision, low self-perception, and then you don't have that self-control to do the things that you said that you would do, you're not operating out of integrity. So if you're procrastinating a lot, why? Why are you procrastinating? Number 3, self-talk. What do you say to yourself? Especially in a crisis. What is that self-talk? But what is the common conversation that you have with yourself? Do you say things like, you're too dumb? You should know better. How stupid was that? Do you say things like that? Your subconscious mind doesn't know when you're kidding. It doesn't know that you were joking. And there's some part to when you put yourself down, there's some piece of that you mean. And that's what your subconscious mind holds on to, the fact that you meant what you said. So if you don't mean to be mean to yourself or to be negative or to put yourself down, then you need to pay attention to your words. Choose them wisely. And again, especially when you are dealing with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you want to shift how you think. You want to shift what you're saying. So I mentioned before that I have these free tools and resources available to you. I want you to take advantage of them. Again, the link is going to be below. But one of the things that I want to encourage you to do, when you download, and I don't know if the light is too bright, when you download your free guide, one of the resources that you're going to get is this particular document. And that is doing a SWOT analysis. And typically, we do SWOT analysis with our organizations, right? Well, I'm going to encourage you to do a SWOT analysis just on you. I want you to look at your own strengths and list those. I want you to look at your weaknesses. Had to make sure I'm looking at it. Weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and list those out. List out everything that you think, and you know, your tongue could be a threat to you. But list out all of your strengths, all of your weaknesses that you are aware of, and then begin to sort them out. Begin to sort out what areas do you need to work on, because something else that, you know, I'm reading more and more, we you know, leaders have to prepare for the future, to the future of work. Some of you all are still trying to adjust working from home and that whole remote working with your teams even. So think about the future of work. Those can be, that can be a threat, that can be an opportunity. I see it as potentially both. It could be a threat if you don't look at it as an opportunity, a way for you to fine tune what you're currently doing and how do you need to shift, right? It's all about making these shifts. How are you retooling, reskilling, right? Upskilling, and I'm saying skill, upskilling. How are you doing these things? Are you doing them? Self-control has to do also with building up your personal development. As a leader, how are you building and increasing and improving and enhancing your personal development? That's your responsibility, right? So self-leadership has to do with how you see yourself. It has to do with what you say to yourself. It has to do with self-control. And those were just 3 of many areas, right? But I wanted to at least hone in on those 3 and encourage you to re-examine yourself, use your tools, take advantage of the tools that I have for you, but of course, there are many out there. But this opportunity, the crisis is really an opportunity. Take advantage of it. Sit down, do a brain dump, look at where you are and look at what needs to improve, and then start setting some new goals in this new normal. I'm Dr. E. Michelle Mickens. I thank you for your time. If you need me, if you want to reach out to me, you can always send me a DM. I will make sure you also have access to my email address. I'm here for you. I do leadership coaching. I do leadership consulting. In addition to training, one of my areas has to do with corporate culture. That's one area that I enjoy training in. So, and that's just one among many, but let's talk. Until next time, you be blessed, you be safe, you walk in wisdom, and respect yourself. Be for real. Take care. Until next time.